Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the EKN Radio Network and another edition of our Hot Seat podcast. My name is Rob Howden. Thank you so much for joining us. I do appreciate it. This Hot Seat podcast is something we don't do a lot of, but we're going to do a lot more of. Essentially, we're grabbing a top driver or a top industry member from the sport of karting here in North America, putting them on the hot seat, and really getting the chance to kind of do a deep dive into who they are, their thoughts on the sport, what they've been doing lately, and then maybe looking forward to what they have down the road. Joining me today, it's Tuesday, September the 17th, and probably a very topical guy to sit down in the hot seat because he's like the most kind of successful guy out of the gate right now when it comes to shifter kart racing in North America, because he's knocked out a bunch of race wins and a championship here in 2019. I'm talking about Race Liberante. We'll talk about Race's competition that he's done this year, SuperKarts USA. He's also part of the industry as well. The Liberante Race Group is his race team. He's got a shop in Pittsburgh. Has an engine building company as well. He's doing a lot of stuff, not just in the seat, but out of the seat as well. Let's start and bring him in. Race Liberante, thank you very much for joining me here on the hot seat.
Hey, Rob. It's nice to be on the radio with you finally, and it's a pleasure to just be here and talking to you guys.
Yeah, it's interesting because we'd been trying to plan this for the last probably a week, and I've been just slammed trying to get to races. I'm starting a 4-race run here. I guess in the middle of a 4-race run coming back from the Texas Pro Kart Challenge race in Houston, but I do appreciate you coming on this morning here. Again, it's Tuesday morning. All right, first and foremost, Race, we're going to jump into your origin story in a bit. You're going to tell us, how the fact that you've been racing for 20 years. You're now 24 years of age. You started when you were 4. Let me set the stage real quick, and then we'll have a quick little deal. I talked about what you've done this year. You kind of came back into the national level of racing this year, running with J3 competition on a CompKart, of course, your own program, Liberante Race Group. Here's your 2019 accomplishments, your resume for 2019. You win the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour in the Pro Shifter 2 category, 4 wins in 6 races. In the middle of July, you end up winning the USAC Karting Battle at the Brickyard in the KZ category. And then on Labor Day weekend, you cap off the current run, scoring the King of the Streets victory at the Rock Island Grand Prix. Wow. What a solid season behind the wheel.
Yeah, this year has honestly been a dream come true. And a lot of it stems off of who I'm working with. J3 competition has absolutely made my job that much easier this year. We've been putting on a lot of work. I've been putting in a lot of work getting back in the gym and getting, in shape to do this and on the long runs, because it definitely didn't start that way this year. But yeah, the success has been awesome. I didn't expect it. Everybody said it takes a couple of years to bounce back, and we're starting to show a lot of progress in what we thought untapped potential that I wasn't going to really have until maybe SuperNats or beyond. And it's been a really good summer for us.
And that's something I think we'll touch on, after I jump. I'm going to jump and talk a little bit about your company itself. But when we get into your origin story and we talk about your racing career and kind of how you come back to karting, get back behind the wheel, I think that's something we're going to talk about, because it's been a while. You jumped back on board, and for me, it was great to see you back again. I remember covering you when obviously during your younger karting days. But out of the gate, at the Winter Nationals, the SKUSA Pro Tour opener at Cal Speed, I'm wondering what's Race going to be able to do. Well, man, the minute you rolled out there, even though we had the trouble with the weather, it was raining when it wasn't, you were running times comparable to a lot of the drivers in the pro category, the best drivers in the sport, right? And the Pro 2 category, definitely the place you needed to come into, but man, you picked it back up so quickly and were right on power and right on point, which I thought was super impressive. Talked about your 2019 accomplishments. Let's talk, and again, trying to introduce you to the EKN Radio Network and the community here in North America. Not only are you a driver, but you're in the sport as well, and you're in the industry and deeply into the industry with Liberante Race Group. You were at Mooresville. You moved up to Pittsburgh Race Complex this year. The focus on your program, it's interesting because you're not only – you have a racing team. You do a lot of driver coaching as well. You're servicing people. You're trying to give that national level experience to the guys that are coming into the sport in Pittsburgh. But you also, you're doing CompKart stuff. You're working with J3, but you're also building engines as well. under your more torque racing engines. You'll be able to give me the better pronunciation, but you have your own racing engine company as well. Man, dude, you got a lot going on. That's pretty cool.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I tried to build something that I can provide national level experience and service at a local level and a local, I guess, entry level cost point.
Yeah.
I've seen too many people get in and out of the sport because either they were afraid to ask a question or, and obviously it would stem to a lot of questions, but, or didn't get the proper service from this shop or this guy or whatever the case was. So I'm pro karting, right? I'm for this sport. I want to see it grow because I think that's what grows this industry of racing as a whole, is starting at the grassroots level. So I built Liberante Race Group to help anybody with any engine, any chassis, any level of experience better their experience in the karting community.
Okay, so we'll obviously jump back into that in a little bit. Let's first. I'm going to kind of step back and give you the stage because I want to hear your origin story. I want to hear from your words. How did it start? How did you get into the sport? What first drew you to it? You started karting at age 4, so I know we're going to be talking about your dad and your family. It's always that way. But let's get started. Give me a run through your, 20 years of racing, because I know it's not just karting. There was some stock car stuff in there as well. Just get started. How did you get into the sport?
So I got into the sport when I was, first off, I was probably 3 days old when I ended up at Willow Springs. That's where my dad raced go-karts and superkarts and road raced with, at the time, I believe it was Richie Hearn was driving for my father. And so I've been at the go-kart track and the racetrack my whole life. And on my 4th birthday, my dad bought me a kid kart, and it all started from there. So we raced locally growing up. Actually, myself and Louis Pagano grew up right next to each other all the way up the ranks. And
nice.
And we ended up going, taking away from full-time karting at the age of 12. And we went legend car racing. And then that moved into the ASA speed trucks, which a lot of karters were going into at the time. And then we stepped it up to a super late model, won a few championships, got a few track records, going through my mid-teens. And then, honestly, the funds kind of dried up for a little while. We took a little break. Then we started road racing our stock car. That was awesome. Got to race guys like Boris Said and Sheldon Creed and a lot of big names in the road racing community. And then I actually got a ride for some Camping World truck stuff that ended up not panning out in the end, but kind of got to that level and then took a step back. And my dad said, we're kind of done. There's nothing else we can do. If you want to pursue this, you got to kind of go and do it. So when it was on me, I bought a go-kart and a dirt modified, and that's what I did, and got a ride running for Ron Hornaday in North Carolina, and that was kind of the reason we moved. And when that kind of ended, that's when I decided that I was going to go back full-time in karting, because it was something that I could do by myself, essentially, for the most part, building it and going through it and maintaining it. And then here we are now.
Let's dive a little deeper into you. I understand, obviously, a lot of people go through that run of, especially with the ASA speed trucks, running Irwindale or whatever it may be in Southern California. You're throwing everything at it. Your parents, your dad's doing whatever he can to try to support you in the dream of going racing. You did, you're doing the oval stuff. You're doing the road course stuff with the stock car, and I think you did some truck stuff on the road course as well. He kind of hands it over to you, which happens a lot of times, and it's obviously you have the passion for it, so you kept at it. A lot of times when parents say, "Hey, you know what? We're out of money," the driver says, "Well, I'm out of the sport then too, because if you're not paying for me, I'm not going to keep digging." But you kept digging, which I love. You grabbed a cart. You said you went some dirt modified racing. Can you dive a little deeper into the Hornaday program? I'd like to know more about you working with Ron Hornaday, and when you came back to Mooresville, what were you going to run? Did you do some racing for Ron when you came back to Mooresville, or came to Mooresville?
When I came to Mooresville, originally, so at that point I had the passion for building race cars as well. So on the flip side of my racing career, or lack thereof, I guess, I started building race cars and setting race cars up. So I was setting up dirt modifieds for guys. I was setting up asphalt late models for different teams. And so most of that, I was just trying to get more involved in the industry. I had this dream that maybe I can go to North Carolina and drive a little bit, but learn how to build race cars and maybe become a crew chief one day or something like that. So I met Ron through an old crew chief of mine in the stock car stuff. Took a visit out to North Carolina, watched a race, and hung out with them. And he said, why don't you move out here and start helping me build these race cars, and we'll eventually get you in one. I said, well, yeah, I'm looking for a change of scenery anyway. So literally got home, packed my bags, and 2 months later I was living in North Carolina. And so for the most part, I was helping him build cars, helping them set up cars. His driver, Billy Workman, super talented, super smart when it comes to dirt modified. So I learned a lot from those guys. Never actually got the opportunity to race. Every time we got a race car ready, we ended up selling it. And that was kind of my deal with him was we build a race car, we race it, we win, we sell it, we build another one. So we never really got to that point. And then it got to the point where I got some opportunities to drive some other things, and I was more focused on building Liberante Race Group. And it just kind of fizzled out to what I can consider right now actually a better situation.
Well, it's interesting. So you move on to your own. Obviously, you can learn a lot from Ron Hornaday. For those who may not know, I don't know how many multi-time champion in NASCAR, but the West program, right? That deal. Just man, he's a legend in truck racing as well. So definitely a guy you can glean some information off. You end up starting Liberante Race Group, and the interesting thing, and probably helped in the transition back to karting, was here you are in Mooresville, and of course one of the most beautiful tracks in the country now. The Mooresville Motorplex is there for you to kind of be able to use as a place to base off Liberante Race Group. How does Liberante Race Group then develop at that point? Are you in the stock car world? Are you still setting karts up or setting people up with their cars? Or do you immediately transition to karts?
Right now, actually, it's kind of in between. So I do still do. Actually, I moved up I stepped my game up for the setup side of things. Now I'm actually crew chiefing and engineering a Trans Am TA1 car for Michelle Nagai out of the Trans Am West series, and so that's really the only car I'm setting up anymore. But that's more of like a family. We've been family friends for years, and I want to see her do well. And
I mean, more when after you left Ron, like what year? When did you leave Ron to go strike out on your own kind of thing? What year was that?
That was actually about 14 months from about now.
Oh wow! So really recently, okay.
Yeah, all really recent. So, and I did a little bit of both. I'd still go help set up the race cars or weld on a new chassis or whatever it was at Ron's at nighttime. Then I'd be at the track coaching a kid or setting a cart up during the day. Okay,
so the transition was right from working with Ron Hornaday right into Liberante Race Group, being kind of front and center at Mooresville, GoPro Motorplex, working with drivers, young kids, and karting, that kind of thing at that point.
Yep. Yeah, that was exactly it. So it transitioned smooth for the most part. I mean, I was working out of my garage at the house I was renting and, borrowing tools from this guy or that guy to really get it going. And now we've kind of built it to where we've got a little bit of an engine shop in my backyard garage and doing kart stuff at the track, working up at J3, working with those guys. So it's in a year's time, it's really progressed quite a bit.
Yeah. Wow, that's a whirlwind. You go from working, essentially doing the sweat equity, working on cars, building cars with Ron Hornaday, hoping to get a seat, to being the Pro Shifter 2 champion and the SKUSA Pro Tour. Currently now with our new EKN driver rankings, ranked as the 11th, top 11 driver, 11th in our driver rankings, and you haven't even moved to Pro 1 yet, which will come in 2020. That's a whirlwind from you really focusing on karting at Mooresville, then moving up to Pittsburgh, continuing your relationship with J3. That seems like this last 14 to 16 months have been a real whirlwind for you.
Yeah, they've been extremely busy, to say the least. But honestly, I live a busy lifestyle. Like you, I'm always on the go doing something. So I wouldn't imagine any other way. And honestly, I wouldn't change anything as of where I'm sitting right now.
We'll come back and talk more about the Trans Am program you have going. But so here's my thing. The obvious question then is, you jump back in, you have the mandate, the mission statement for the company that we talked about, and that's working with local drivers and giving them that national level service, and potentially if they want to move forward, you can work with them because you've been there before. What was the motivation? Like, what was the switch, or what was the conversation about saying, hey, in addition to everything we're doing here right now, let's go try this 3-race SKUSA Pro Tour and go shifter kart racing? What was that conversation?
So it actually started as just a test day. So last season I drove for J3 one time. It was just a one-off F-Series race, which is Marco Oldoffer's series.
Yep.
And we ended up winning and doing well. And from there, John Giacomelli was actually my mechanic that weekend. And he goes, hey, why don't you, if you're moving up to Pittsburgh, why don't you come work with us next year? So in the winter, I worked with them a little bit at the winter tour. And I asked him if I could hop in a shifter kart, and just so I knew what it felt like. That way, when I was tuning it or somebody was explaining something to me, I could better service them. And so he goes, yeah, have you ever even driven one of these things? And I go, yeah, I've got a few laps in a shifter kart. So he's like, okay. So we go out there on just the Thursday of the second winter series race in Florida, and we're practicing all day, and it took me a little while to get my groove again because it'd been, I think, 2 years since I even driven one. And we end up being about in the top 5, top 6 all day. And we're looking at the stop, watching at each other, and we're like, should we do this? Do you want to do Pro Tour? And then he's like, well, let's give it a go. And I'm like, cool. And so I called Frank Baldozier, actually. He's been, every time I saw him at SuperNats or at a race, he goes, if you ever want to get back in the seat, you call me. We'll figure it out. I'll do whatever I can to help you.
Frank's awesome. That's great.
Yeah. So he's honestly been, between him and all of J3, none of this would have been possible, and they all took actually a pretty big leap of faith on me to go and do this, and I'm just glad we were able to have the success we've had so far this year to pay it back.
I'm sure there was, looking at those times, there's probably a conversation or two, or maybe just in your head about saying, hey, maybe I just need to go straight to the Pro Shifter 1 class because I'm fast enough. But I'm of the position when you're coming back into the sport, you're 24 years of age, come back in. Pro Shifter 2, I think, was the right place for you because you come back in, you get yourself settled in, you set your bar, you set all your understanding, and then you're able to move forward and springboard to the Pro Shifter 1 category next year, if indeed that's the case. Coming into Pro Shifter 2, starting off the season at the Winter Nationals at Cal Speed, what kind of expectations did you have for the season? Because I've obviously talked about what happened. 4 wins and 6 races on the Pro Tour, running speeds that probably would have put you on the podium or top 5 or whatever it would have may be in the Pro 1 category. You win the Brickyard at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. You win Rock Island, King of the Streets. Before all that happened, what were your expectations coming in?
I expected to top 2 or 3 in the championship, ideally. I knew it was going to take a while to bounce back. I had a lot of conversations with guys like Billy Musgrave, the Giacomellis, just people that have been in the sport that I've raced with in the past, and just I kind of got a feel for what I should have been doing, and everybody said Pro 2, right? So I that kind of helped me out a little bit because honestly, I have a lot of respect for the Pro 1 drivers. I mean, a lot of people don't see how much time and effort it takes to become a pro karting driver at the level that we're racing at now.
Agreed.
And it's days in the gym, it's days at the track. I mean, it's taken away from work hours. So I had to balance between really what can I commit to and still make money with my business, right? And keep that afloat. So Pro 2 is exactly where I thought we should have been. And my expectations were pretty low. I mean, I wanted to finish top, like I said, top 3 in the championship, but honestly, it was Saturday morning when it was pouring rain at Cal Speed. I go, guys, we're done. I've only raced in the rain one time in my life, and it didn't end well. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, we're done. So for us to go out there and win that and actually win the overall in the pre-final, I was like, okay, you know what? I keep doubting myself. And then that just changed. That day actually changed my whole mentality on how I was looking at this. I was kind of taking an easy approach to it. But after that, I've just been shooting for the moon, and And, my goals keep getting higher and higher and higher every weekend. And I'm starting to see more and more progression with myself. The more time I put in the seat, the more in physical shape I get and things like that. So,
yeah, that's cool. That is really cool. Folks, speaking right now with Race Liberante from the Liberante Race Group. Not only is he a team owner, shop owner, driver coach, but also one of the emerging stars of national level shifter kart racing, having taken the Pro Shifter 2 category championship on the SKUSA Pro Tour. He won the Battle at the Brickyard in the KZ category, fresh off being crowned as the King of the Streets champion of this year's Rock Island. We got lots more to talk with Race, so stay with us here, folks, on the EKN Radio Network. This is episode number 5 of The Hot Seat. More to come after this break. In a sport where the difference between winning and losing is measured in hundredths of a second, you can't afford to leave anything on the table. You invest in the best equipment, the lightest components, and top-of-the-line data acquisition systems. Anything to find one more tenth, right? I'll tell you right now, the best investment you could ever make is in yourself. If you want to improve your results, it's time for professional instruction and coaching at the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy. Located at the new state-of-the-art Speed Sports Racing Park just north of Houston, the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy uses the very best equipment, Burrell Art Karts. They offer half-day, 1-day, 2-day, and 3-day clinics. They have a one-on-one student-to-instructor ratio, and they will design a customized curriculum for each student. Alan Rudolph is one of the most respected people in the sport, and he has nearly 20 years' experience training drivers, including Chase Elliott, Neil Alberico, Austin Versteeg, and Sabre Cook, and rising stars like Pietro Fittipaldi. Train with a champion with almost 30 years of racing experience to get proven results. Start off your season with a driver tune-up. Tune up your season with some driver coaching. Or get ready for the big races by training with the best. Reserve your dates now by calling 866-607-RACE. That's 866-607-7223. For more information, visit speedsportsracingpark.com/racing-academy. Rotax is officially back in America, and J3 Competition is the iconic brand's new importer and distributor for the United States. With a focus on top-notch customer service and unparalleled product support, J3 Competition is excited to work with club and regional series to build the Rotax community across the United States. For 2019, J3 Competition formed its Stars and Stripes racing program, which highlights its national Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals ticket events. The two events, the Stars and Stripes Open and the Stars and Stripes Trophy, awarded tickets to 10 drivers to participate in the Rotax Grand Finals in Italy, the sport's most talked about global event. Rotax is a global leader in two-cycle technology, and alongside J3 Competition, who brings more than 75 years of experience to the brand here in the U.S., the industry is safe with a bright future. Check out the new Rotax USA program at racerotax.com.
As this year's karting season draws to a close, the World Karting Association has turned its focus on the always exciting 2019 Grand National schedules set for this fall. Preparations are underway for the famous WKA Grand National Eagles to be awarded to both sprint and road racers in a pair of big events. Even more exciting, as each race ends the season for both series, the 2019 National Series points champions will be decided as each series takes on the popular Grand National events. In the National Sprint Race Division, the Bridgestone Manufacturers Cup, the event will be hosted by the iconic Newcastle Motorsports Park on October 11th through 13th. Once again, for the 2019 Manufacturers Cup Grand National, series organizers have slated the super competitive track configuration 40 of the Newcastle circuit, which promises last corner battles to the checkered flag for both the Grand National Eagles as well as the championship titles. Road racers in the Vega Tires National Road Race Series will return to the popular National Corvette Museum Circuit in Bowling Green, Kentucky on November 8th through 10th for the season-ending WKA Grand Nationals. Continuing with its cooperative programs, WKA invites both KART and CES as promotional partners for this major event. Two events, The legendary Grand National Eagles awarded, National Series points champions decided. It's the 2019 WKA Grand National schedule. Registration opens September 1st. Visit worldkarting.com to lock in your spot on the grid.
Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network. My name's Rob Howden. Episode 5 of the Hot Seat Podcast, where we take one of the top drivers in the sport, an industry member, put him in the hot seat and drill him for a little bit, but really more just to kind of take a deep dive into their careers, what they're doing, their mindset, and how they are such a big part of the sport. Race Liberante joining me here today, not only one of the top shifter kart drivers now in the sport, having won the SKUSA Pro Tour Championship in the Pro Shifter 2 category, also a big part of the industry as well in the Pittsburgh area at the Pittsburgh Race Complex through his company, Liberante Race Group. Before the break, Race, you talked about the fact that in that opening round, the rounds of the Pro Tour, SKUSA Pro Tour, Cal Speed, where we got hit with some torrential rain, you of course come into this race day, it's raining, you're saying to yourself, man, you're telling the team even, we're probably done here. I've only raced in the rain one time. But you come out and I think you probably, and you could probably agree and kind of further on it, you're able to kind of use all the experience that you've had racing stock cars on ovals, on road courses, running dirt modifieds. As you said, you did some dirt modified racing. I'm assuming sliding that car around is going to help you out a little bit, but it's just a natural talent that you have and all the seat time. What happens instead of you struggling in the rain, you end up being super fast and leading overall in the pre-final and coming away with the win in the Pro 2 class. Talk a little bit more, and let's get back into how much that kind of changed your mindset and maybe help give you some more confidence of who you are as a race car driver.
Yeah, after taking 2 or 3 years off and people not wanting to give you a ride and, all the negative things that can happen in this industry, it kind of set me back a little bit. And that Saturday is what I actually needed to go, you know what? You've never even done this, especially in a shifter kart. There's no reason you can't go out there and race with these guys. So that set my tone for Sunday. And right off the bat, we were just blistering fast in the morning when it's still kind of damp. I have a lot of miles around Cal Speed. I grew up racing there against Billy and a bunch of other guys. So luckily that really played in my favor. And really all we were actually lacking that weekend was my physical ability to drive that 175 to its potential for 20 laps.
Yeah, that's something we're going to get into in a bit. Actually, let's just do it right now. I was going to wait till the end, but what's it been like driving that 175? I talked to a lot of guys who just love it. It's just such a beast to drive. You've obviously been able to race it now over the last little while, last year. From start to finish, how do you feel about the engine right now?
I actually really enjoy racing that motor. I like something with a lot of power. I'm used to that with, like you said, the stock car stuff, always having 600, 700 plus horsepower. It's a different driving style that you get accustomed to. You can't be spinning the tires off the corner and whatnot. So I actually really, really enjoy racing that motor. At first, I hated it because it was trying to rip my arms off every time I got in the thing. But once I got adapted to it, once I kind of calmed down with my driving a little bit more and got a little smoother, everything now just seems to flow really well, and that engine just performs really, really, really well. I mean, the speed with that motor, it's no Honda, that's for sure.
So here's one thing I want to talk about. Obviously, you've raced so much different stuff over the years. I'd like to get your thoughts on the 2 other races that you won this year. You came to the USAC Karting Battle at the Brickyard at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. David Cole and I both raced there as well. We were in drastically different speed classes than you, obviously. David and I both running Briggs 206, but we had that same kind of experience racing at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. There was such a cool vibe there in terms of kind of being more of a grassroots deal. I loved the racetrack. It was fun for 206. I can only imagine how much fun it would have been in the 175. There was a lot of wide open parts there where you guys were ripping, but there were also a couple of parts I know in kind of watching you guys in the shifters where you were hanging on, but it was bumpy and you guys were on the ragged edge. Let's start with the Battle of the Brickyard. What are your thoughts on that event? We'll talk about your performances, but just the event as a whole first.
The event as a whole is insane. It's huge. There's 500 go-karts, or at least 500 entries at that event usually. It's awesome. And to be at the Brickyard and be able to take a lap around the speedway, I think Jason, the flagman, and all of his his crazy, wacky suits and stuff with his gloves on and everything. It just feels like Indy, right? And I went there last year as a mechanic for Zach Schiff and Devin Smith-Harden, and we ended up sweeping everything. And after that weekend, I was like, I'm coming back next year, and I don't care what I'm in. I'm going to race this race. This is just awesome. And it just happens to be I just decided to pick the fastest thing you could race there. So, no, it's an amazing event. And the whole USAC staff, the Hoosier staff, everybody that put that event on is just so nice and so... my term, I guess I'm going to call is pro karting. These guys love kart racing. They love karters. They want to do everything to help grow the sport, and that's what I'm all about.
You know, and I feel the same way, obviously. Mike Burrell, Jason Burgess, Rick Folks, just the whole staff there. And again, Randy Kugler on the mic. I thought it was a tremendous race, the Battle of the Brickyard. What about Rock Island? So you win the Battle of the Brickyard. Obviously, some great racing there. Rory Vanderster, Josh Lane, everybody you're racing with. The KZ was strong early. You guys in the 175 kind of were very good as well at the Brickyard. Was there, from the very start of these, let's put it this way, from the very start of the season, did you say, hey, we're going to probably do Rock Island at the end? Or was that something that maybe you looked at later on after having some success throughout the season?
That'll actually just popped up because of Josh Lane. Josh Lane put basically all the top shifter kart drivers. He basically made us come. And
put you on blast. Yeah.
Yeah. He put us all on blast on social media, made us look like a bunch of babies. So, him, myself, Billy, Jake, and a lot of other, Austin Wilkins came back out. So a lot of guys showed up for that one. And it's like, okay, all these guys are coming out for this fun street race that I've never been to, that I've read about, that I've seen all these pictures of the king being crowned in the magazines back in the mid 2000s. Yeah. This is the year to go do this race.
So you go and do it. And, I've run shifter at Rock Island a couple of times these days, or when I stopped racing back in 2015, having had to go, do my Road to Indy conflict. What do you think about running a 125 there? 175, pardon me. I was in a 125. You're in a 175. That place rips because it's nothing but 90-degree corners, and you are just carrying so much speed around there.
Yeah, it's insane. And it's funny, after first practice, I walk over to Billy's pit, and I go, so what do you think? And we just both looked at each other, and we were like, this is sketchy. And I'm like, yeah, but I love it. And
exactly. I felt the same way. Yeah,
it's just such an awesome event. That was actually my favorite event of the year so far, just because there's actually a really good crowd of people there. I mean, you go to some street race and you're like, okay, yeah, this is cool. There's 500-600 people here. That's awesome. But that place, man, there's people roaring when you win the race or when you're coming around. Yep. And it's just insane. I mean, after we won that race, there were people throwing stuff at me, like just whatever it was, paper and stuff like that, recording on their phones saying, do donuts. So it was awesome to connect with, I guess I want to call it the real world in karting. Connecting like that is so good for the sport. And honestly, I wish there were more events like that throughout the year.
Now, and not only that, you obviously get the victory. You got the cape, you got the crown. It's big. You do the donuts. Everything's fantastic. You get tons of social media for that. Dude, you beat the heavy hitters, right? Musgrave, Jake French, Rory Vanderster. The lineup was stout in the King of the Streets main event, and just another feather in your cap. Put it on the resume that you're able to win against those guys as well.
Yeah, that was awesome. I mean, that was honestly a huge confidence booster for me. I've raced with those guys in the past. We've duked it out in the past, but the difference was I've been away for a while and they've been at it. So I know they've gotten better as drivers over the years, and even the little bit I've raced them this year when I've been in Pro 2, we've had speed to be there, but I'd make a mistake. I'd do this, I'd do that. So for us to go out there and start 13th, run those guys down and win the race with 2 to go was just showed a lot about the hard work that we've put in as a team. I mean, everybody from Frank to J3 Competition and CompKart, BCRE and the whole Harden Motorsports group, everything MRC did for me at Pro Tour. It's been a group effort. I can't take all the credit because if the chassis weren't working so well and the engines weren't running so good, that wouldn't have happened. And everybody's really been working hard and believing in me and giving me their best effort, and I can just do the same in return. And finally, we've been able to race those guys toe-to-toe and showed that we are here to race.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Folks, getting a chance to talk to Race Liberante here again. Currently the number 11 ranked driver in the EKN driver rankings, but probably only because there's a little less ranking points for the drivers in Pro 2 to Pro 1. This is a guy you're going to see running for a Pro 1 championship in 2020 on the SKUSA Pro Tour. After this break, we're going to talk to Race a little bit more about his company, Liberante Race Group, what he's doing to help people getting into the sport, making sure they're loving it and enjoying it, getting better at it. Talk about the F-Series Gear Up Challenge that he supports as well. Lots more to come here on the EKN Radio Network. One little quick break here, folks. Join us after we get back. Cometic Gasket is a leading worldwide supplier of gaskets and engine sealing solutions for karting, automotive performance, power sports, original equipment, and the remanufactured engine industries. Cometic karting gaskets are available as OE replacement top-end kits or as individual gaskets and seals. Just like competitive karters, Cometic can operate on the fly and has the unique capability to customize any gasket to meet specific engine requirements and clearances. All of Cometic's fiber materials are asbestos-free and do not require any additional sealants. Viton oil ring cylinder head seals are used in each 2-cycle kit, and Cometic's 4-cycle engine kits feature only the most advanced multi-layer steel head gaskets. Cometic can tailor to engine builder-specific needs through bulk ordering and packaging flexibility. Cometic gaskets are must-haves for championship-winning teams across multiple disciplines of both professional and amateur motorsports. Cometic Gasket, sealing championships since 1989.
Top-level production with a focus on a single form of motorsport, karting. This is MG Tires. MG Tires USA, underneath the Vantage Karting Group banner, is the official distributor of the MG Tires brand for the United States. MG Tires are used as the official spec tire in the United States Pro Kart Series, the Route 66 Sprint Series, the Sunshine State Karting Challenge, and countless clubs across the country. No matter your compound preference, MG Tires USA has you covered. Whether it's the medium HCI Red, the soft FC Yellow, or the super soft Green YZ, MG Tires USA has your winning set of rubber in stock. For more info about MG Tires USA and its extensive list of dealers near you, check out their website at mgtiresusa.com. MG Tires, for the drivers.
With over 35 years of manufacturing experience, Precision Karting Technologies is the leader in American-made components. We produce high-quality products, led by our full line of chromoly and mild steel axles. Metric or imperial, standard or custom, we have what you need. Collars, keys, bearings, we're the source for axle components in the USA. We're not just axles either. At PKT, we can manufacture motor mounts, hubs, brake rotors, and even GoPro mounts. We're also the choice for axle and chassis straightening. We've designed a dedicated table for the sole purpose of straightening and laser aligning your chassis. If needed, we have the capability to cut, replace, and weld portions of your chassis as well. Big crash bent your frame? Send it to us. Broke a spindle yoke off in a wreck? We can replace it. You don't need to toss that expensive frame in the trash bin. We can fix it. We can repair and straighten chassis, and we CNC machine the finest karting products in the country. With over 70 dealers throughout the US and Canada, it's easy to choose PKT. Family owned and operated, proudly made in the USA. PKT. What's in your cart? Welcome back to the EKN Radio Networks. My name's Rob Howden. This is an episode of The Hot Seat. As we get to one of the drivers, put them in a hot seat and go take a little deep dive into their career and what they've been doing throughout this season. Race Liberante joining me here today. And of course, Race, pretty much the it guy in terms of shifter kart racing right now. You got your Billy Musgraves, you got your Jake Frenches, you got your other big dogs like AJ Myers and Kyle Wick, but it's been a really interesting story to watch Race kind of develop, get back into the sport on the top end as well. But not only is he a top end guy running in the SKUSA Pro Tour, winning at the Battle of the Brickyard, winning the King of the Streets at Rock Island, but he's also not only just at the national level, he's at the other part of the pyramid, that, that base grassroots part. Race, let's start talking about Liberante Race Group. We talked a bit about the fact that you kind of started in Mooresville. You moved to Pittsburgh. Being up in the Northeast, you're working, you're doing a lot of stuff with the F Series, Marco Oldoffer's program, which is a great regional series that has a ton of support. You're working at Pittsburgh Race Complex as well. Can we just talk a little bit about the company itself and everything you do? Because it's not just driver coaching. It's not just trackside support. You're an engine builder now as well. Talk about the engine building program too.
Yeah, so we started Liberante Race Group last year, and I grew up building my own engines. My dad built a lot of our stuff, and I had the opportunity to learn a lot from guys like Darcy DeCosti and everybody at High Rev, when Josh Osborne worked there, J.O. worked there, and all these other guys that I grew up around. I had the opportunity to learn that stuff early. So when some of my customers were like, man, I don't want to ship this thing out and blah, 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 and it's such a headache, I'm like, well, I can do it. And it just kind of started from there. So I was just kind of maintaining my customer stuff for a little while, building my own stuff still. And it just kind of developed, and we branded it Mo Torque Racing Engines, kind of like for more torque. Yep. It's just a stepchild of Liberante Race Group, and it's actually honestly been one of our biggest successes. We've done a lot with guys at the F Series. So since we're, like you said, in the Northeast, we're trying to just make it local. I'm not here to compete against Allison and Walcher and Musgrave and these guys, but I'm just a local option for the guys in my region.
And I think that's key, because one of the things about the industry is, there's lots of names of guys that will support national level racing, regional club, whatever it may be. But, I think the power of our sport, the strength of our sport, and the way we're able to grow it and support it is having certain people focus on just club racing and or just their regional events as well. And I think to be able to have a strong shop at Pittsburgh and to run the F Series and to be in the Northeast, along with a driver like you of your caliber, you're able to do a lot with the young drivers as well in terms of driver coaching as well, right?
Yeah, we do. I set aside 2 days a week to do just driver coaching with, usually we structure it in a couple hour blocks with each of them. I'll travel to races with some of these guys. I work with, and it actually gels really well with CompKart, because a lot of our dealers, a lot of their newer drivers, I'll come out and I'll even race, but I'll, instead of me, they'll supply a mechanic and I'll just coach the rest of the kids the rest of the day, and we'll do data, and I'll hop in a go-kart and get some good data so that we can keep overlaying that with the kids. So it actually works out really well with everybody at J3 as well, because all of our dealers have newer drivers, and it's something that now I can help them to help promote, and it's just a double win for both of us. So the coaching side of it's been great. A lot of people, and it's actually, believe it or not, I wasn't getting much coaching days from guys before I got back in the seat, because when I moved out to North Carolina, I didn't travel as a kid racing. We stayed in California, Las Vegas, or Nevada, Arizona, Utah. We kind of never left the west side of the country. Yep. And so when I moved out to North Carolina, a lot of people are like, well, who's this guy trying to coach people? And I get it. I didn't really make a name for myself. And it wasn't until this year when we started really doing well in the shifter stuff that side of the business has really been growing, other than the key customers I already had.
Well, and that's what it is, right? You're essentially, I don't say reintroducing yourself, probably just simply introducing yourself, because the time you spent in karting was quite a while back before you transitioned into the stock car program. So really, you're just kind of showing everybody what you're able to do yourself. It's your calling card, right? It's like, hey, I could coach you, and they're going to say, well, what have you done? Well, right. Now you say, well, I've done this. And that's obviously going to help you out in a big way too.
Yeah, no, it's really helped escalate everything, and I think it's just become a win-win. Like I said, I'm just pro karting, and then so working with J3, in the engine side of things and the entry level side of things with the F Series, I've been really heavy on the road tax program with them, and that's been really successful for all these regional guys that run the F Series, because that's one of the only open tack programs left. Mm-hmm. And we've just found so much success, and when I say success, that means, happy customers, guys that want to keep karting, get in the sport, that are getting their buddies into the sport. And that's what, honestly, all of this was built for. That's the whole reason I'm even doing any of this, is because I see, and it's no, surprise that this sport's not as big as it was when I was growing up in it. There's not as many clubs left around. So I'm trying to do my part to get that back, to get more guys in the seat, because all that's going to do is just better the sport. It betters our industry. And honestly, I want to see a professional side of karting in the United States, a true professional side of karting. And that doesn't start until we build the local crowd.
I do agree with that. And, over the 25 years I've been doing this, there's a lot of talk about trying to have a professional level of karting. And I think every once in a while it gets closer, then it steps back a little bit. And, of course, the recession in 2009 changed a lot of things. Here's my question for you then, Race. You're obviously, you've established yourself as a core supporter in the Northeast of the club events, the club track deal at Pittsburgh. The F Series, which is key in the regional program as well. What are your thoughts on bringing new people into the sport? Is it trying to get friends of existing racers already racing? Is it trying to work with indoor tracks potentially to get people to come outdoor? What are your thoughts on trying to potentially grow the grassroots level of racing?
I think there's multiple ways to do it. Right now, like in our case, we have a couple displays on some indoor tracks. I offer, for their indoor league championship, the winner gets a day in the LO206 at Pit Race in a CompKart. So,
wow, I like that.
Yeah, a small stepping stone into that. Honestly, I think a lot of it's just tracks in their local communities marketing that, or even street races. I mean, there's so many ways to get people into the sport. I've been all over everybody I meet at the track. Tell your friends to come do this. I'll rent them a go-kart, $100 for the whole day. I don't care. I just want to see more people racing here next month. And
that's key.
Yeah. And it's just getting people in the seat. I think once people feel the rush you get in a go-kart or racing in general, I think that changes everybody's perspective on racing. When you get in and actually do it, it's a whole different world. And I don't mean, I guess it would start at an indoor track, but I mean getting in a real go-kart and feeling the grip that it has and all the things that comes with it. I mean, I think you were actually on a hot seat with Musgrave when he said he got in a kart and there was nothing like it. And that's
it.
And that's how I feel every time I get in one. I've raced everything you can race under the sun. And I always come back to karting because there's nothing as pure as karting. And honestly, I love the community. I'm so happy and fortunate that I was raised in such a great community. You learn so much being involved in racing growing up, about yourself and about really, honestly, how you should handle yourself to the public and to other people. So I just think it's such a great sport to be involved in that there's just no way that it could ever go away. So I'm doing my part to keep it here and grow it and honestly do anything we can. So my answer to your question is I don't have that answer, but we're trying every single way we can. Honestly, I think it's just all those different scenarios are going to bring more people into karting. The street races, the displays at the indoor track, the prizes to get into the karting, marketing to the public, things like that.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure, and I most definitely agree with your thoughts on the motorsports community, the karting community. It's the people that have kept me in this thing for 25 years because, week in and week out, you get a chance to go hang out with friends and be part of the sport that we all love. Now, all right, okay, so we're getting close to the end of this here. We got a couple things more to do. Let's talk about plans for 2020. You know what? The first and foremost, I know that a lot of people probably figured, hey, Race Liberante just won the Pro Shifter 2 class. Like so many people do, he's jumping up to Pro 1 for the SuperNats. If I'm not mistaken, that's not the case, right? The program you guys had was let's win the championship and let's go Pro 2 racing at the SuperNats and let's win there as well.
Yeah, so we're going to finish out the year in Pro 2. I made an agreement with everybody that's involved that we would stick with this for the whole year. Honestly, there's no point to go to the biggest race of the year and dive in the deep end. So We've got our program set already. We had a plan in motion from CalSpeed, and we haven't deviated from that. So, yes, that will be my last Pro 2 race. And next year, we are going to hit it hard at the Winter Series and Pro 1 or Pro Shifter and still do the Pro Tour. I'm definitely going to Quincy this year. I saw some videos of that. I'm going to that race.
That was my next question. I'm gonna. Are you gonna do Brickyard? Are you gonna do Quincy? Are you gonna defend the crown at Rock Island? Are you potentially gonna go down to the Lockhart Grand Prix, the street race in Texas? There's lots of opportunities.
Absolutely, yes to all of those things.
Yes, and yes.
Yes. Not only are they awesome race events, but again, it's promoting the sport of karting by drivers, great drivers going there. So I encourage everybody to go to these Battle at the Brickyards, these Elkhart Grand Prix, all these street races that these guys put on is for the community of karting to grow. And
agreed.
Yes, I will be there supporting that 100%. So my schedule is pretty full. It's going to look a lot like this year. Maybe a little bit of the I'm probably going to do the Rock Winter Tour as well, just to stay fresh in the seat and race guys like AJ weekly. So that'll be good. And doing the Rotax Nationals again, supporting all the Rotax events, and then the F Series.
There you go. There's next year. All right, so here we go now. The way we cap off this hot seat race, and I'm sure you probably listened to it, we do what we call the EKN Fast 5. So I've got 5 questions for you. Are you ready to rock here?
Oh, yeah.
All right, here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is the EKN Fast 5. Joining me today, Race Liberante, top driver in the shifter kart category here in North America, winner of the SKUSA Pro Tour in the Pro Shifter 2 class. He also was the winner at the USAC Karting Battle at the Brickyard. He was the winner at the King of the Streets Rock Island Grand Prix. He's got the crown. He is ready to go for the Fast 5. Race, are you ready? One more time.
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
All right, here we go. Question number 1 of the Fast 5. What was your first kart? And give me some detail on that first kart. Everybody wants to know what your first kart was.
It was a Techno kid kart with a Comer 50cc engine on it. It was probably a 1996.
That's awesome. Where did you race it? Was it at Willow Springs? Is that where you were first driving?
Yep, Willow Springs was 15 minutes from the house, so that's where we raced for the first 3 or 4 years of my karting career.
I love it. Question number 2. What is your favorite kart track?
Ooh, my favorite kart track would have to be Shawano, Wisconsin.
Ooh, USA International Raceway.
Yes, that's...
I love that place. And why? Some people, the funny thing is it's not a track that's used that much, actually at all anymore, but even in recent years. Can you talk about the track and what you like about it?
That track, just the elevation change that it had there, how fast it was. I mean, that track took some you-know-whats to get around it fast, and it was just fun. I just always had a smile on my face when I did get to drive around it, and it was only one time I got to drive there, but from that day on, that was absolutely my favorite track to this day.
One of the cool things about Shawano is, and we always had it with back in the magazine days, and even with e-karting news, is the fact that the photographers would do such a great job. Todd McCall would be there from On Track Promotion. And because of the elevation changes, there was always that place where he could get a shot where the kart was on one wheel. It was just on the right rear tire coming over, just as it crests the hill. The elevation change of that place, incredible. I love that track too.
Yeah,
all right,
we need to go back.
Question number 3. What was the biggest win, or what has been the biggest win in your karting career?
I'm honestly gonna say this year's Rock Island Grand Prix. In my karting career, yeah, I think between the competition that was there, kind of where we started, how the weekend was going the whole time, and then just it was one of those races where growing up in the West Coast, I never got to go to that race, but every time I got a Go Racing magazine or a National Karting News magazine, it was a picture, in the summer, the late summer, was a picture of somebody with a crown on and in the streets, and it was like a giant festival, and I was like, man, that looks pretty sweet. So that was a race I actually always wanted to go to, and I always wanted to race. And it just so happens that this was the first year we got to go do it, and to come home with that crown was pretty awesome.
I love it. Race Liberante in the hot seat today. We're doing the Fast 5 here. Number 4, who is your biggest rival?
My biggest rival, I'm gonna say it's Billy, actually. Billy
Musgrave.
Yeah, Billy Musgrave and I have gone back quite a few years, and I started in S5 when he started karting, so he was in S3 at the time, or I forgot what they called it. There was a different but he was
you're
in
right.
rookie
You're right.
shifter kart, whatever you want to call that. And we all raced together. So S5 and Rookie Shifter were together. And so even when I was 13 years old banging gears and he was 16 or 17 getting used to it and kind of getting into the sport, we were duking it out for the overall win. And that never changed. He moved into S2 and had a lot of success there. And I moved into S2 as well. And we immediately started battling it out. And then that's kind of when I moved into car stuff. And now that I'm come back, I mean, Billy's he's a supporter of my racing, for one, with the engine stuff he's done for me in the summer. But, regardless, him and I are still trying to beat each other every single weekend.
Are you looking forward to going head to head with him in Pro 1 next year?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're maybe ambitious, but we're shooting for the top next year. And I know he's going to be right there shooting for it too.
Final question of the Fast Five, Race Liberante. Who has been your biggest mentor or influence?
My biggest mentor influence in my racing career has got to be my father. He's done everything for me to get to the point I'm at now. He may not be financially supporting me anymore, but he's a phone call away if I need some advice, if I need to calm down, if I need any tuning help, if I've gotten to the point where, I've hit a rock and a hard place tuning the engine or tuning the chassis. He's always there to kind of help me, and he's always helped me mentally through the race weekend. So yeah, my father would have to be the biggest influence in my karting career.
Well, Race, it sounds to me like your dad, Brian, obviously setting you on the right path, because 24 years ago you were born, they picked your name. You were pretty much set to be a race car driver, right?
Yeah, and that's what everybody says, and yeah, it's never going to change. It's not just my name, it's my way of life, and I know that's cheesy and corny, but
it's not.
It's
I love
absolutely true. I love racing more than anything in the world. I mean, for this to be going 20 years strong, and it just feels like yesterday I started doing it, and I can't wait to keep doing it. Honestly, my lifelong dream is to be racing I want to be John Crow. That's what I want to be. When I'm old, I want to be John Crow.
Who's still bad fast, right?
Exactly. I want to go be able to beat 15-year-old kids in shifter karts like he does. That's 50 years old. That's awesome.
You know what? That is a really good goal. Ahead of that goal, obviously you've got your team, you've got and the engine shop, everything you're doing with Liberante Race Group. You're obviously working your way into to be battling out for the top drivers in the pro shifter kart category. We talked before we started here. There is still a desire for you to potentially somehow find a way to get into cars, right? It's the idea is to do this for a living as a career. You're still holding on to that dream and not giving up on trying to get yourself into cars.
Yeah, and that's absolutely correct. I mean, any opportunity that presents itself, of course, I would love to entertain, and I'm still going to strive to make a career out of my racing. I hit a bump in the road along the way when the NASCAR thing didn't really pan out, but I think there's definitely opportunity for more for myself. I think there's still untapped potential for myself and a lot of things that I think I can do in this sport as a whole. So yeah, I'm keeping the door wide open for anybody that wants to help me out or any opportunities that come up in a car or anything. But my goal would be to go to Trans Am and then work into some sort of a sports car ride eventually if I can. So yeah, the dream's still there, but for now I'm focused on building karting as a sport, building my racing career for the better, and just taking it day by day.
Well, anytime you're trying to get a ride, and I don't care what it is in karting, you have to come in with a resume, and what you've done here in 2019 so far is building a resume that will make people turn and look, because there's no doubt about it. You've won the races you need to win. You've stepped up to run essentially pro-level racing, and the way you approach the sport, I'm very, very impressed, and that's why I wanted to have you here on the hot seat, because what you've done this year, now I've watched you over your career, which has been amazing. It's awesome to have you back, and just the way you present yourself and carry yourself, you got a fan of me, that's for sure, and I hope that you do get an opportunity to do something. Race, let's, obviously people listening in, if they do want to follow you on social media, give me all your social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever you use. And give us the website as well for the Liberante Race Group.
Yeah, you can find everything out about Liberante Race Group at liberanteracegroup.com. Follow it on Instagram as well, Liberante Race Group. You can follow my personal Instagram, race_Liberante. Facebook, again, Race Liberante. So, yeah, if you guys ever updates or anything like that, it's pretty active every day on that stuff. So
Last but not least, you got some great sponsors. I know one of the first things we did at the start of the year was take a picture of that badass liquid sky suit when we were at Cal Speed. You got a lot of great sponsors that support you as well.
Yeah, definitely do. First and foremost, Frank Baldozier and Catawba Farms and Zier Vineyards. They've supported me and helped me through this whole year. None of this would be possible without them. J3 Competition, the Giacomellis and Justin Stefani, just huge mentors in my life right now. They've just been helping me with business, racing, driving, the whole organization, the whole 9 yards. Everything that organization does there is just phenomenal, and they've helped me so much. CompKart for just the best go-kart on the market, hands down. Literally one of the only American-based Italian-made factory karts. So super happy to be with those guys. And the whole Rotax program has helped me out a lot. MRC, Liquid Sky, of course, for the awesome suit, Stilo Helmets USA, and ZMAX Lubricants.
Race, thank you so much for joining me on the hot seat, buddy. I appreciate it. You're done.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me.
There it is, folks. Race Liberante, definitely a name to know. I look forward to seeing what he's going to be able to do in 2020, but he still has the SuperNats to cap off what has been a tremendous season in Pro Shifter 2 category, winning the SKUSA Championship, winning the Rock Island King of the Streets, winning the Battle of the Brickyard. This guy is racking up wins to fill up the resume as he looks forward to continuing his program in karting and as well potentially into the Trans Am and sports car world. Great to have Race with us here, folks, on the EKN Radio Network. Thank you so much for joining us for another podcast. This has been episode number 5 of The Hot Seat. Race Liberante doing a tremendous job for us. Folks, thank you for joining us. My name's Rob Howden. Bye for now.